The Last Voyage. In maritime lore, there's a saying, "The sea keeps its secrets longer than any grave." The Aurelia was humanity's answer to that old superstition, a ship of clean energy and perfect algorithms, a vessel designed to silence the chaos of the ocean. But the ocean was never meant to be silenced. On the night of the disaster, the waters spoke, and no one listened. Captain Elena Morales leaned against the brass rail at the bridge's window, watching the Pacific stretch infinite and dark. The ocean looked tame from here, a mistake only fools made. "Course remain steady, Captain," chirped Aura's soft voice, emerging from hidden speakers. "All systems optimal." Elena didn't trust that voice anymore. "Any storm warnings?" she asked aloud, startling her first officer, a sharp young woman named Patel. Patel shook her head. "No, ma'am. Clear weather reported within a 200-mile radius." Elena's fingers tapped against her hip. She should feel relieved. Instead, a cold coil of unease tightened in her chest. Maybe it was the letter waiting in her quarters. The formal notification of her forced retirement, corporate phrasing wrapped around betrayal, time for a new generation to take the helm. Or maybe it was the strange sour tang on the air, carried on the wind, salt and something else. The bridge lights flickered, only for a second, only enough to make her gut tighten. She opened her mouth to issue new orders, something, anything. When the Aurelia lurched, a sound split the night, a scream of metal, drawn out and raw. The ship ground to a halt, tilted hard, throwing everyone off balance. Emergency lights snapped on, bathed everything in blood-red glow. Below, she heard the first notes of panic, a sound she knew all too well. The ocean had come to collect. Chaos. Within minutes, corridors jammed with screaming passengers, pushing and shoving under the flickering red lights. In the crew's emergency hub, Aura's serene face flickered on the monitors, her once calm voice now looping broken nonsense. System integrity. Rerouting protocols. Malfunction. "We're dead in the water," Patel muttered, checking manual gauges. "Comms are down, engines offline, hull breach in multiple sectors." Elena grabbed a microphone. "All passengers, report to lifeboat stations immediately. Follow crew instructions. Stay calm." She met Patel's eyes, steady. "Lifeboats?" Patel hesitated. "Malfunctioning. Half submerged. Aura didn't compensate properly for the tilt. We're compromised." Elena's stomach dropped. It was happening. The thing she'd feared every time she'd stepped aboard a ship. Real emergency. No backup. Only grit and human instinct now. And somewhere below, 1,000 terrified souls trusted her to save them. On Deck 5, near the collapsed grand staircase, the battle lines were drawn. Victor Lang stood atop a fallen steel beam, hair wild from the rain, shouting into the panicked crowd. "This ship is a death trap," he bellowed, pointing at Elena. "She's lost control. I have an alternative, the Serenity. It's seaworthy. It's ours for the taking." Around him, his personal bodyguards, hulking men in black rain jackets, corralled desperate passengers. Elena stepped forward, soaked to the bone. She pushed through the crowd, her voice low but commanding. "If you board that yacht, you'll drown within minutes. It's built for calm seas, not this." Victor's smirk was oily. "Better to try than to rot here under your incompetence." Elena saw it then. The way fear warped people. the way it made them cruel. "Listen," she shouted, cutting across the chaos. "I know this ship better than any system. Emergency beacons, supply lockers. We can survive if we stay organized. Follow me and live." Murmurs ran through the crowd. Hesitation. And then, heartbreakingly, people began to splinter. Some, those she had reassured at dinner tables and met with warm smiles, turned away. Victor's group shoved past, trampling luggage and bodies. Elena watched them vanish into the rain and knew she had to focus on the ones who stayed, the ones who still believed in something. The ship groaned beneath them like a wounded beast. Corridors tilted at impossible angles, walls burst open to reveal the ocean, gnawing its way inside. The survivors followed Elena into the bowels of the ship, a twisted labyrinth of buckled steel and darkness. Each step was a battle. They climbed over collapsed chandeliers and flooded casino floors, their flashlights mere pinpricks against the void. A woman sobbed into her hands. A child clung to Elena's soaked uniform, wide-eyed and silent. Patel led half the group ahead, scouting paths with a battered flare gun. "We're close to the emergency stores," she called back once, her voice faint. And then came the scream. Elena's blood ran cold. She ran toward the sound, flashlight trembling. She found Patel, her foot trapped under a fallen metal beam. Blood slicked the floor around her. "Go," Patel gasped. "Leave me." Elena ignored her. She hauled on the beam with everything she had, muscles tearing, sweat and salt burning her eyes. Around them, the ocean crept higher. "Not leaving anyone," she growled through gritted teeth. Together they limped forward. In the abandoned ballroom, now a cavernous, flooding tomb, they met Victor again. He looked nothing like the arrogant titan from hours ago. His clothes were shredded, face haggard. Most of his people were dead or missing. Victor stumbled forward, falling to his knees before Elena. "Please," he rasped, "take me with you." Elena stared at him, at the man who had nearly doomed them all. A dozen sets of survivors' eyes bore into her back, waiting to see what kind of leader she truly was. Slowly, she extended her hand. Victor sobbed once, a raw, broken sound, and let her pull him to his feet. Not a hero, not a villain, just a man afraid to die. They moved like ghosts through the wreck. Each hour dragged them closer to collapse. Supplies dwindled, hope frayed. Elena watched her people change. The arrogance of luxury scraped away, leaving only raw humanity. The elderly billionaire who once sneered at her orders now carried injured strangers on his back. The socialite who once demanded five-star service now fed crying children with trembling hands. Leadership wasn't about titles. It wasn't about orders. It was about carrying each other, one painful step at a time. Elena led them to the helipad, where the last flare beacon was buried under collapsed antennae. Setting it up took everything they had left. When it blinked green into the fog, a tiny defiant star against endless dark, Elena let herself sag against the broken railing. They were not saved yet, but they were seen. The freighter that found them wasn't built for luxury. It stank of diesel and rust. Its crew were rough-handed, bewildered, but kind. One by one, the survivors were hauled aboard. Elena was the last. She stood at the shattered edge of the Aurelia, staring back at the ship that had been her whole life. Now a coffin sinking into gray waves. Victor limped past her, onto the freighter without a word. Patel grabbed Elena's hand and squeezed. "You saved us, Captain." Elena wanted to believe it. But as the Aurelia slipped beneath the waves, the guilt stayed anchored in her bones. Some ghosts would not be lifted so easily. The inquiry absolved her of wrongdoing. News outlets hailed her a hero. Interviews, book deals, speaking tours were offered. Elena declined them all. She bought a small sloop, rebuilt it by hand. No AI, no smart tech, no crowds. When she finally sailed beyond the reach of satellites, she felt lighter than she had in years. In the solitude between sky and sea, she whispered her final log entry into an old recorder. "True leadership isn't in glory. It's in standing when everything inside you begs to run." The waves took the words, as they had taken everything else, and Elena Morales sailed into a new kind of unknown.